got some through.
About like the track list to put together.
Yeah.
Wicked. Okay. Well, this is going to be interesting because I've never done one of these with more than one person. So you've all got to just chip in and get right involved.
Yeah, and we haven't like communicated with each other what these songs are. So I'm excited to see what everyone else has to say about this stuff.
Excellent. Well, let's make this a real glorious mess then, and let's all just chip in and throw our ideas in. Okay.
Mess.
Right, you all good to go?
Yeah, very good.
Wicked. Okay, hello and welcome to Off the Beaten Track podcast. And today I'm joined by Dreamwife. Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
So, whereabouts are you all?
Bella and myself are in southeast London.
Okay.
I'm
Bella,
in
can you say
Iceland.
hi so people can work out what your voice is? Because we've got 3 voices, so I want everyone to know who's who.
This is Alice. Hey, everyone. And Bella and I are in southeast London. And Raquel.
And Raquel?
I'm Raquel, and I'm in Iceland, Reykjavik.
Wonderful. All right. Well, look, before we get on with today's playlist, can I ask you, how you found the recent lockdown situation as human beings and as creatives?
I think it's one thing that me and Alex, because we live together and obviously we've toured together a lot, is that we've actually spoken about how in a lot of ways touring has kind of mentally prepared us to be able to do this, like we're quite accustomed to spending a lot of time together in fairly compromised situations. And like actually you have a lot more autonomy in a van. The van is the compromise. So yeah, like actually, yeah, kind of being separated from your friends and family and stuff is a fairly kind of normal thing. So yeah, grateful. Oh, and that just like submission to one day at a time, like you're just here and now and you're not really worrying about the end of this process. I feel like without those mechanisms, I would have found this all a lot harder.
I think as well, it's been like a really nice thing for the 3 of us to have the record come out, on the 3rd of July when it did. It's like, I think it was this really nice grounding physical moment of suddenly like the record is released and like this thing we made together like last year suddenly kind of becoming real again in this more exterior way. And I think that was a really nice point of celebration for us 3, even though we're, all not in the same place.
And like less than a week after the record stores reopened, it's like, it's kind of wild that you can go out and buy that record in a shop.
So he's like rough trading that, like open now. I've no idea.
Yeah, they're open. And we're album of the month. What up?
That'll do, won't it? All right, so let's start working our way through the track list. So for track 1, the song with the greatest ever intro.
Oh.
Anyone want to go first? Shall I go?
Go for it.
I want to go for The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. That bass line is so... Oh, you just know something that's going to happen. And I feel like that's such an interesting song about being in a band, just like that you will never break the chain because the bonds of being in a band is so tight. And you just know that's coming when you hit the start.
It's like one of the most iconic bass lines out there, isn't it? It's like you hear that and you know what's coming.
Yeah, and, as a bassist, obviously I'm into that.
I mean, if there's to be a bond that's unbreakable in a band, fuck me, Fleetwood Mac proved that, didn't they? I mean, could there have been...
He's not in the band anymore. Like, bye-bye.
But
that's still like a good solid 50, 60 years of being in a band together. And even if you left in 2020, like that's still a... Wait, where's my math? I don't know, at least 50 years.
Yeah, I think, it's well documented, like Fleetwood Mac's kind of excess and kind of inter-band relationships. I mean, to still come out the other end of that as a band, it's pretty impressive, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. The music is the glue.
We've got a few more decades to go, but we're getting stronger every day together.
Okay, well...
We're also not dating each other, so that's a plus.
That helps.
I think it's way harder when you're actually
sorry.
having those relationships in a band.
Yeah. Let's be hyper intense. Like, oh my god.
Who else has got an intro for me?
It's really difficult because
It's meant to be difficult.
I mean, I'm going to go for 5 Years by David Bowie. I feel like
Oh, great shout.
right now feels like it's kind of come round to this point of relevance again, actually. And like, when I heard it recently, I think, you know, that just opening guitar, those chords, there's something about the melancholy feeling. And it's another one like with the Fleetwood Mac track. It's like, you know what's coming. You know that feeling just building in that intro, and it's iconic in its own right. But yeah, I feel like there's a real relevance of that track and the sentiment of it right now in the world, for sure.
Perfect. Raquel, before I ask you what yours is, I just want to ask you collectively as a band, in regards to sort of intros in music, is it a big consideration of yours when you're in the writing process to consider that kind of, in more kind of pop markets, it's the whole thing of like writing for radio, hook them in and try and grab them right from the off. How much of that do you apply when you're writing music? Are you trying to kind of get in there straight away? Do you know what I'm saying? It's a bit of a loaded question.
I think it's something where the writing last year when we were writing So When You Gonna, a lot of the writing with that, we did so much of the pre-production ourselves in regard to like arrangement and the flow of the song and the journey of the song as a whole. And I think there was a lot of time spent feeling what that was and kind of feeling that out as a unit. And yeah, it was definitely part of the writing conversation for us, just as much as like the instrumentation, or it was a vibe setter, and intros are like that. And I think it's important for us the journey is on KG1.
Yeah, I think I kind of tried to have like different types of intros, different ways of entering a song, different kind of lengths of that. Like it's really,
we were trying to do some variations.
Variations on tone setting.
Raquel, what's yours?
I'm gonna say Robin, Dancing on My Own.
Yes.
Like as soon as you hear the first 2-3 seconds, you're like, oh my god, I need to stop whatever I'm doing. I'm gonna clear the table and dance on it. Like it's just such a like you just get goosebumps when you hear it anywhere. It's hard not to want to engage.
It's so weird you say that. I hadn't heard that song for about a year, and I was in my car, and it came on the other day, and literally my wife just said to me, how fucking incredible is this record? And I was like, it's so good.
Yeah. I mean, it's like interesting. It's like that sort of period of Robin was really cropping up when we were in the studio with Marta Slobny, our producer. It was kind of something we all kind of kept referencing, and particularly on tracks like Old Flame, let's say, on the record, it was like a real reference point. And yeah, that bittersweet Robin vibe, she sucks you in from the start.
Absolutely. Okay, track 2. The first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you?
I mean, I would actually say Hey Mickey by Tony Basil.
Amazing.
I mean, it was like a song I remember when I was a younger girl. It was like, I don't know, it kind of turned me on, like, and I think it was something about this kind of rock fused with this cheerleader thing, and like, I don't know, it was stuff I didn't really understand at the time, but I think that really was a song where it was like, rock and roll is so sexy, and that song for me when I was younger it really made me feel like, wow, like rock's firing me up kind of thing, like. But I guess, yeah, Tony Basil, Hey Mickey. We actually once did a cover of that song as in our early days. Do you remember, Raquel?
Yeah, it was great. We called it Hey Llama.
Hey Llama!
Yeah, we used to change the name and sing it to whatever friends were in the audience, and llama is a friend, not an animal.
I mean, that's a versatile approach. You can apply that at any gig to any person, right? That's great.
Yeah, I swear you used to do that, Raquel. Like, Raquel would like jump in the crowd. It was like, yeah, we'd sing it to that person that night. It was really nice.
They felt really special.
I mean, that song is definitely something that's, I mean, way before your time. I mean, that come out when I was probably about 6 or 7, and for a young lad seeing Tony Basil, like it was incredible. She was like an absolute badass because she's a music choreographer now, isn't she? She's like she's like choreographed like I think she choreographed things like sort of Janet Jackson and Mariah Carey. Like she's a huge choreographer for music videos.
Oh, amazing. Oh, we should work with her.
Yeah, we should work with her.
So, I mean, I'm going to ask, what was the emotion that gave you?
I mean, I think it's just that kind of like raw kind of attraction to guitars and how loud they can be, but then also like, I think it was like, Hey Mickey, the lyrical content of that song as well. I think it was like this woman being like outwardly like, hey, like you're so fine and like you make me feel this way, and like the guitars totally reflect that. And I think there's definitely parts of Dreamwife where it's that kind of interplay between like really, really cheeky and sexy and really, really rocking, and it's that it's just so much fun live. And I think on record it summons that feeling in me of like just rock, like the way it can just buzz you up, and it just makes me feel happy, it makes me feel excited, or did when I was a child.
Bella?
I'm gonna go for Reach Out by the Four Tops.
Ooh.
Yeah, my mum had this like Motown CD, which was like a real soundtrack to my life for a while. It was like the first music I'd like choose to put on. This was maybe 6, 7. And I just remember that song and like how it's so, it feels so safe and so loving, but so powerful as well. Yeah, and it makes me want to dance. Yeah, I love the depth of it and the kind of meatiness of it.
It's so mad that you say that. I reckon there's been probably at least, I reckon half of the guests that have been on this podcast have cited a Motown compilation growing up as a hugely important album in their household. And so was there, I'll ask you all as well before I get to Raquel's choice. What was there music on for most of you growing up at home? Was you like sort of exposed to like, a record collection?
Yes. Yeah, my dad is like the classic Six Music dad. We've had Six Music on in the house since it was initiated. And my mum kind of sits somewhere between like pop punk and R&B. But she has less control over what music is played. Six Music is always on. But she took me to see Green Day when I was 11.
I just don't think you'd never look at Bella's mum. You'd never meet Bella's mum and be like, oh yeah, she's totally into this like mix between like, R&B and pop punk. Like you just wouldn't guess.
Yeah, she's a mysterious lady.
Is that a thing, Six Music Dad? Because I've just realised I'm going to have to tell my kids that that's what I am now. I'm Six Music Dad. Six Music have been loving you this week, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We are thankful for that.
Raquel, what song was the first song that gave you that you had an emotional response to?
This is a bit of a hard one. I'm gonna go with Madonna, "The Power of Goodbye."
Oh wow!
Okay.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I think actually in my house, I grew up in California until I was a preteen, and I don't really remember being much inside the house. Like I stayed a lot inside the house when we moved to Iceland because it was cold. But I just remember being outside most of my childhood, so I don't think I actually listened to that much music because I was outside the whole time or at the beach or something. But actually, my parents they played a lot of Madonna and like the Smiths. But I remember hearing "The Power of Goodbye" and just being like completely, like I had to sit down, like I had to. It's like eating a full meal. You can't just stand up right away. You had to really sit down and sort of let the waves of emotions that the song was going through sort of sit over you just as a child.
the emotional response to that song would have been what emotion?
I think just it was so epic, like the string quartet, and I think just like feeling like, because as a kid you haven't really experienced this kind of like, well, for me, I hadn't said goodbye to anyone at that point, and this kind of idea of being sort of heartbroken but also present and also strong, like these kind of various of emotions that she brings in that song. And as a kid, I wanted to experience them, like experiencing love and experiencing heartbreak and experiencing having, in general, just having to say goodbye to someone and what that emotion was, because I didn't know that. So, and I think I just really wanted to take it in, so I couldn't really move when that sound came on. I just had to sit down.
Wonderful. Okay, track 3. The song reminds you of your time at school.
Alice, Hey Mickey.
Gotta be
Oh, maybe I should just answer that for every single answer here. This is just tricky. I mean,
I'm gonna say Cisco Thong Song for me. Do you remember that Cisco song? Let me see that thong.
Yeah.
And literally,
yeah.
I had no idea what a thong was. Like, we didn't know that. We were just singing along to it. That was literally the song that was played at like every school dance, and everyone sang along, and they didn't even know what a thong was.
Well, before I ask you to what yours are, like, just ask all of you now, like, how was school? Was it something you enjoyed?
I mean, I think the thing we really like about Dreamlife is that we get to kind of create the structure in which we kind of move through and engage with the world. And I think there's something like, for instance, when we were at uni, I think there was something kind of claustrophobic about kind of being told the way in which you should be making art, let's say. And I think all of us kind of instinctively, it's like been sort of finding our own path and figuring things out on our terms. And I think, I know personally for me at school, I kind of didn't really like the way you were kind of told this is right, this is wrong, and it's something where I think, yeah, it was sort of tricky. I just kind of got by.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't really have many friends. I just kind of got by and actually retreated into music mostly. So I think probably all of us in different ways, it maybe was a similar sort of situation of finding things that, I don't know, mattered to us outside of maybe what you were told should matter at school or something.
Yeah, school was a lonely and difficult time in a lot of ways. And yeah, like Alice was saying, it's like you're kind of told all this stuff is like the only way it can be. Or like, yeah, like I went to a Church of England school, like a state school, but it was religious. And that kind of like being forcibly subscribed to this like kind of system, like, yeah, the only time I'd ever like talk in class was when I get into fights with my RE teacher. Yeah, me and Alice are both from Somerset, so it's kind of like slightly rural, kind of curtain twitchy. It's quite a lot like Hot Fuzz, if you imagine going to school in that movie.
It's all for the greater good. So what did you want to be at school? Was music already like something that was a focus, and as well as that, if music was something that you were focusing on at school, was that kind of creative element of your education being encouraged?
I was quite fortunate to actually quite like, well, I liked school, but it was easier in California when you can be outside the whole time. It was really difficult adjusting to having, going out for lunch and it's snowing and you're just supposed to do that. Like, temperature wise, it was difficult, but it was all right for me. But I was very fortunate to be from a family that works in arts and theater and music. So it was really great to sort of see that as a norm and see that as a paying job, and not to see it as something that was a distant reality, but something that you were encouraged to dive into.
Yeah.
So I was really fortunate, and as a kid I thought that was the norm, and then I grew older I realized that wasn't the norm, and I'm very thankful for having that.
Alice?
Wait, what is this? What we wanted to be at school?
Yeah, and was like, what, you know, was you a creative kid, and was that encouraged at school?
I mean, I think it was really encouraged outside of school for me. Like, my dad studied sculpture, like my mum had a background in kind of graphic design and stuff, and I think both of them really encouraged me to figure things out on my own in my own kind of creative space. And like for me, that was my bedroom, and in a way still now, I think having that kind of intimate personal space to explore things creatively is still, in a way, it's kind of like therapy for me, and it always has been. It's been a friend that's always been there. And I think, yeah, I would say in school it was kind of like I was mostly friends with boys, and at primary school, and I played clarinet, but I wasn't really that into it. It was like, I learned music, but it was more exciting to me to be playing the bongos in a band in year 6 called like AK-47. Like, it's really it's fucked up now, but like, just I remember like me and this guy called Seb, it was like we were going to start this band called AK-47. It's like I started out on bongos, and then I moved up to electric guitar playing like Deep Purple tracks. Like, it was a thing where it was like, it was outside of school, and the breaking down of maybe the rules of like what you should and shouldn't do as a little girl as well. I think none of that ever, I didn't really care about like playing with dolls or anything like that. It was sort of about exploring things outside of the structures, I think, for a long time. And yeah, these things existed definitely outside of my time in school. I did well at school, but I just kind of put my head down and did it. It was, I think, yeah, it was more exciting for me, everything else that was there to learn that wasn't being taught to you directly through this kind of curriculum, I guess.
Props to the name AK-47. That's fucking great. Track 4. I'm going to ask you the first song you remember buying from a record store, but I imagine looking at you, it would have been a CD. I can't imagine it was. I think records have probably disappeared by then.
But they're back now.
They're back in a vengeance. Who's going to go first?
I mean, it's like, I'm not very proud of this because I don't.
You're not meant to be proud of this one. This is the one where all your cool goes out the window.
Exactly. I remember buying, I think it was Feeder Buck Rogers, and like, it's like, I don't even, Feeder, so what, but I remember just really, really loving the riff and the simplicity of it. And it was kind of like, it's got that kind of Blur Song 2 feel where it's kind of just powerful pop, really. But with guitars. And yeah, I remember sort of thinking at the time, like, oh, I just really like the way this sounds. So yeah.
It's an indie disco classic, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm just not so sure. Not so sure anymore.
Bella?
Again, this one, I think I've maybe only ever bought one single ever, and it feels embarrassing, yes. Noah and the Whale, 5 years time. Yeah, a little bit of sunshine folk rock. It was very much a kind of relationship with my friend Sarah thing, and we really liked that song together, and so I bought that on a CD. But like, yeah, I've never bought songs really.
Yeah, I've never heard the word sunshine folk rock. I'm loving it. Let's bring that back.
I remember mine. Well, we talk about songs or albums?
It can be either.
Okay. I actually remember.
It was an album.
It's an album. I bought Millennium by Will Smith.
Of course you did.
Oh my
God. That was. I think I bought, but then also, like, I remember going to the store, at the record store with my friend. Went to the mall. Exciting times. And the guy at the record store was encouraging me to buy Linkin Park.
Oh my
So I ended
God.
up walking out with Linkin Park, and I was like, sure, okay. And then, yeah, that was my first trip to like the record store with my friend and her mom or something. But yeah, Millennium and a Linkin Park record. I've listened to them both a lot. They were the best.
And so, while we talk about record stores, and the importance of them, as you know, in your kind of formative years, going and buying your first records or CDs and stuff like that. How much, as an independent band now, how important are those independent record stores to Dreamwife?
I mean, it was something quite like, for instance, what we did with the release of So When You're Gonna, we were planning to do a tour of record stores, and that obviously for reasons with the pandemic didn't happen. And it was something where it was really nice to continue that conversation kind of down on the ground with these independent record stores, giving them, like, we gave them all a kind of virtual version of 5 tracks on the record. And it was something we'd filmed and recorded during quarantine, so when we were all in these separate places. And there was something really nice about still kind of, in this virtual way, touching base with these distributors, these places where it's like they're independent. It's a really nice community to be touching base with, aside from it being a shop, you know what I mean? I think it was really nice for their channels to reach out to these communities of people where it really matters. Records, the physical format, it's still so important. And I think now more than ever, where, you know, things are maybe more dislocated, non-physical, and like I said earlier, it's really nice, the idea of like this record coming out in the physical and people going to the shop and buying that, and it's this kind of physical way to connect through to the music still. And yeah, it's obviously right now more than ever, I think it's about supporting them and keeping that community alive, really.
Yeah, I think the music industry is like such a big complicated mess of people kind of trying to push their own agendas, and it's like so dominated by like a few big powers that have a lot of money. And I think independent record stores is like an avenue and a space for kind of diffusing that very kind of linear power is super important. It was like interesting because we were kind of engaged in this whole like rush for the top 20, like really trying to get in the top 20 with the first week of our album sales, and like just looking at how dominated that list was by like a very few, like small set of institutions. I think, yeah, power to the independents. That's what we need. Yes,
100%.
Also, the result from that is what we found out, which was so technically we're still on the top this week, not until Friday that changes. But we're number 18. We're very proud. But we also, the even better news that came from that was that our record, So When You're Gonna, was the most sold records from all the independent record stores this week.
How cool is that?
That's a huge compliment. Like, to know that people like went into the store and bought it from their local record shop, and that made everything. That's why we got into the top list, is because of people buying physical copies. Because we sort of found out that we had a chance to the top 20. We were looking into it, and a lot of stuff that we didn't realize. For example, like one record bought equals 1,000 streams.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was that much of a. So actually going out and supporting a band or a message that you want to support has such a big way on this list. And also this list, we also found out that it's not a number, that actually it has a lot of weight. For example, we've been being played a lot on Radio 6 this week. The reason why was probably because of this list.
Sure.
And it's basically has a huge importance on where you're placed at festivals, your fee at festivals, and in general bookings at festivals that maybe are lacking in diversity. But if your booking agent sort of presents your act as, you know, as something that has been selling, like a top 20 record, that sort of makes it possible for you to get booked at these places too. So it's radio airplay and festivals. Like, that's actually what that list is all about. And that's pretty amazing, like actually having, you know, letting people know about that, how important actually one physical copy weighs against, you know, the major streaming network.
I did not know that. It's crazy.
Yeah,
so it's really important.
Of support, but like in this kind of down on the ground grassroots kind of way, like that it was people going into record stores and buying buying records that like kind of tipped us into the top 20. It was just incredible that there's still so much power and weight to that. It really matters still.
Absolutely. Next track, the song that soundtrack your years clubbing. You're young, you're still clubbing, so you can be retrospective if you want. Sorry, Bella, I missed that.
All the clubs are shut right now.
I know. I run one. I have a club that's not open. It's killing me.
That's hard.
Okay, who wants to go first?
Alison Bella, didn't you make a club in your living room?
Yes.
You guys have a club at your house.
We do, but actually not anymore right now. But it could be set up. Sometimes the kitchen is a club, sometimes the garden is a club.
Oh, right, versatile.
We've got a really impressive like strobe lights and kind of lights that pulsate in time with the music. So it's quite easy to get a vibe going.
I mean, I would say years clubbing, it's been a while. It's been a while, and it's probably just pure peach, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I Feel Cream. I feel like I really remember, like in Brighton, I feel like those were my kind of most hardcore clubbing days. And I feel like any time I listened to Peaches, it would just get me in exactly the right mood.
So clubbing was in Brighton?
We went to uni there.
Yeah, we went to uni, did some parties at my old flat. I remember, I mean, maybe I'll put this on there because this reminds me of this specific birthday I had when, Raquel, you came over with that massive bottle of champagne. Do you remember that, like, mega-sized bottle? It was like, was it my 21st or something? I can't remember. It was like you came over and B was there, a few other friends there and stuff. And Raquel, you put on, is it Justice, We Are Your Friends?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fond memories of that moment. And we were just dancing around in the flat, I think probably with a strobe light. We had a smoke machine down there and stuff. And it was just a really nice moment. And like, I'd just gone through a breakup and it was a thing where it was a really nice moment of like, all these people are here and they care, and it's a really nice time. And it wasn't necessarily like the clubbing years, but it was definitely part of that. And for me, that was a really sort of important moment in that, in a way of just like friendship and people just coming together and dancing and enjoying that. But yeah, that was a really great birthday, and I would suggest We Are Your Friends.
Perfect.
I love that song. This is probably why I put it on your birthday. It's such a good fist pumping song. Like everyone on the floor is in strobe lights and everyone's like punching the air, and then everyone's hugging and then you're punching the air again. You know, that's the club song.
Do you know the story behind that song?
No.
It's quite crazy. So there's a DJ called Eddie Temple Morris, and he used to be, I think he's on like Virgin now, but he used to be on Radio X when it was XFM. And he had a show on there where he was encouraging people. At the time, there was lots of like mashups going on where people had sort of smashed the two songs together. And he'd done a competition, and obviously someone mashed Justice with Simeon, and it got played on that show and went fucking crazy. And then obviously from then on, it became this huge tune.
So it was a coincidence. Okay. It wasn't the band. What? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it Justice and Simeon Mobile Disco? Is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So whereabouts was clubbing in Brighton? When I'm just thinking back to then.
Mostly at Alice's flat, and there was some other friends that lived kind of across the road from Alice that had a basement and lots of strobe lights as well.
Yeah, we were like friends with people that, I mean, had kind of continued to be true enough collaborators since uni as well. But I think, yeah, we were like friends with a group that also had some strobe lights and smoke machines, and we would just kind of.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Like there was one summer where I remember like a lot of people had kind of gone home, and there were like, it was just kind of like this random little group left, and we were just doing a lot of just our own parties under strobe light in each other's living rooms and stuff like that. And it was a real feeling of like, you could just, Brighton's so small, you could always just walk to people's houses, and it was, the house parties there were like, I remember like sometimes you'd go out to Revenge, like sometimes if you wanted to like go and dance, but really it was like, it was all about the house party in Brighton, and definitely at uni in that time. And we were, you know, we were like studying art, and it was like this split discipline mixed campus where I think there was a real crossing of different creative minds. I mean, it's like we were all on different courses when we created this band there, and I think there was a real excitement about like just kind of just being freaky together actually.
Also, like a lot of our first shows were house parties. Like it was so much like the whole culture was built around house party. Even like going to concerts, you go to house parties, and it's such a beautiful thing to have that. I think I remember when we moved to London, we were like, I miss house parties. But like we have everything else, but not enough house parties.
London.
Raquel, what song soundtracked clubbing for you?
I think it was "We Are Your Friends." Actually, that is the fist puncher. It's just, oh man, I didn't know that story. That's such a cool way of a song appearing and becoming a huge club track.
Yeah, huge as well, massive. Okay, track 6. Favorite song from an artist.
Actually,
sorry, go for it.
I do have an answer.
Okay.
Venga Boys. The Venga Boys are calling. That song. I mean, I have like every single time that comes on, I have this like choreographed dance routine that a few friends of mine we always do, and then we teach everyone who doesn't know the dance routine, or I teach people my dance routine. But it's like it's really fun to have like a song that you just have to do a dance routine to, that you've been doing it since you were 15.
Okay, for track 6, favorite song from an artist from your home county.
Oh no! I don't wanna...
we can go PJ and Portishead. PJ and Portishead. We're from Somerset. Not many bands are from Somerset.
So like the obvious, and this is not making the cut, the obvious band that we maybe would go to would be the Wurzels.
Obviously.
But we're not going to go there.
No, we're not going to go there. Did see the Wurzels live at Wedmore Harvest Home once, 30th anniversary, very
So you frame a Bristol making the cut for this?
Well, Portishead and PJ Harvey are the best things.
Okay.
Portishead, Glory Box would be my choice.
And I will go for PJ Harvey, Man Size.
Yes.
Ah, great tune. Great tune. Yeah, I think you've nailed it there. There's 2 absolute stone cold killers there. You better deliver now, Raquel, because they've set the bar pretty high.
Nice then. Come on. They're all musicians.
Yeah, I'm a bit spoiled by choice. I mean, the obvious answer to this question is Björk, but I feel like I'm gonna choose a less obvious one. I think my friend Ole.
Okay.
Ólafur Arnalds, his name is. Yeah. I think there's one song called Ljósið, which means the light. He's a pianist, and I think that's one of the most beautiful songs to come out of this country.
Is that something that's available on Spotify? Because I put a playlist together with all of the songs that we talk about.
Yeah, he's huge in the piano atmospheric world. He won a BAFTA once, so he's definitely on Spotify.
Wonderful. Okay, so for the final track, you all get to play DJs now, and you get to pick a song that many may not know that you would like them to hear.
Whoa. Okay.
I came up with proper answers for the start of the interview, and then I didn't go all the way to the end to have solid things. But this
is what's happened. You've tried to wing it, haven't you?
A little bit. Half wing. Half crap, half wing.
That's healthy though.
Yeah, I feel like we'll throw some Porridge Radio into the mix. Porridge Radio, some friends of ours, and they released an album earlier this year that was really, really good, really like raw, really emotionally honest. And as for the track, maybe I will go for Give Take, because I made the music video for that. And it's a really fun song about like wanting things but not wanting things, and like the kind of mixed up feelings of that desire can bring.
Perfect.
I'm gonna go for Rina Sawayama, Bad Friend. She's just incredible. She's just got signed to Dirty Hit, and she just released this brilliant album. And Bad Friend is, I guess, the most recent single of it. And it's really nice to hear a song that's like talking about friendship and like these feelings, these complicated emotional feelings surrounding that, rather than it being maybe about this kind of like, I don't know, more stereotypical kind of like love interest type thing. It's really nice to hear a song that's exploring like friendship, and it's also just a really great song. But yeah, Rina, she's like my favorite new pop star.
Perfect.
I really love that song, Bad Friend, in a way that I think we quite reflect. I think being away on tour a lot, and not being able to be physically present with your friends back home, and maybe feeling a kind of, or family, or feeling kind of a guilt from that. I felt like that song definitely looked at that mutual feeling of when you're away and you feel like you're a bad friend, but you just got to pick up the phone again, and friendship, it's always going to be there if there was love at the start.
So are you going with that tune, or do you want to pick a different one, Raquel?
No, I just wanted to talk about how great that tune is. I'm gonna go with Nova Twins, a song called Taxi.
Nice.
Their music video to that song, just like, it looks as if it's The Matrix.
Yeah.
And they're just one of the most incredible live bands. They're also friends of ours, and just one of the most incredible bands out there. And I love their music and the power they bring.
Yeah. The
power and kindness they bring as well. It's one of a kind. Do you know them?
They're doing this next week.
Are they? Oh. Wow, they are so amazing.
Yeah, they're a wonderful band. So as it would appear, seem to be finding our way out of lockdown slowly but surely, when everything's back to a kind of safe and nice place to go out again, what's the plan? I mean, you've put an album out in lockdown, which is amazing, and to chart in such a situation is incredible. So what's to be done when you're out of lockdown? What's coming up?
I want to swim in the sea.
You want to swim in the sea? Okay. I swam in a river about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did it feel good? It
was beautiful. It's actually my weird little thing while swimming. It's my favourite thing to do. Go and find weird lakes and jump in them.
Yes, you and I both, my friend.
It's good for the soul. It really is.
Absolutely cleansing. But also obviously very much looking forward to the rock show and when we can get back to that. I think releasing an album during lockdown has been very strange for this band particularly, because the whole premise of this band is built off of the live show, that is the kind of the beating heart of the band. And it's been really interesting to process releasing music and what that is without doing shows. It's definitely provided different perspectives that I'm grateful for, but also that's the consummation, that's the really alive bit, really physically sharing that music with people in a space, and rock and roll.
Yeah, no, I think it is. It's literally stripped back. It's kind of standing in the same space and all feeling the same vibrations, and it's I think it's a really strange thing, because we recorded this record wrote it without really many live shows around that process, and these songs, many of them we haven't played live before, so it's a thing where it is just going to be amazing to be present in these new vibrations with everyone together, all of us together, kind of thing.
The new vibrations.
Raquel?
Yeah, the rock show. It's Iceland has gone, well, Iceland never went into lockdown, but it's sort of things are just back to normal here, and all my friends are starting their jobs again and living life just how it was, and I feel a little bit like I can't start my job again, like my job and my industry. It's almost hard to articulate it to some of my friends here because it's such a big question mark when because that will be when the last industries to start again, which is live music, and we don't know when that's going to start again, and that is a bit of a heartbreak. Like sometimes sometimes I dream about being back on stage, and it's just to feel that energy of being in a packed room with people and sharing this experience together, which is a live show. It's such a mixture of kind of meditation and to be able to express various emotions and feel safe within a group of people, as an audience as well. That's how I feel as well, going to gigs and especially festivals. So when that happens again, that's just, yeah, that is going to be the dream come true.
Wonderful. Ladies, thank you so much for giving up your time today. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on the album. It's so impressive what you've done, and yeah, I can't wait to come and see you soon.
Thank you for the chat.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoyed this.
Thanks loads, girls. See you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Right, I've just pressed stop on there, and I'll just press.
Would you